Hey y'all, it's Stephen Van Kampen-Lewis, and it's here in the middle of October. We finally got our first cool front here in Texas, so it feels like fall weather. Of course, for us, that's like 74, 75 degrees. And then it'll get down to the mid 50s and lower 60s this time of year, which is the normal range of temperatures and which is great for growing orchids, as you can imagine. But also in fall, in addition to lower temperatures, we typically see more blooms, especially on the Catasetum. So a few weeks ago, I showed you some buds of a bunch of Catasetums, and actually there's a Cattleya labiata I want to show you too. So in addition to the Cattleya, I want to show you the open Catasetum buds, both males and females, first-time bloomers, some long-time bloomers, and some really cool stuff. So let's go check that out and see some cool flowers. Alright, so once again, we're looking at a bunch of Catasetums, and you can see that bright spot down there. That is the Cattleya labiata. That's a rubra. And we'll come back to that one last. But what I want to do is I want to show you some female flowers over here, back there. We saw that one a few weeks ago. And then check out the Catasetum denticulatums. There's two of them that are now open, and it is their first bloom. So you can compare and contrast them. If you recall, I was in one of my previous videos, I was saying, hey, I think one of those is going to be a light colored denticulatum and one will be a darker colored denticulatum. So we'll check out those flowers to see if my prediction was true. But let's start off right here with these. So these are female flowers. I'm trying to find the tag. And so this is one of my favorite crosses. This is Tenebrosum by Callosum. And now that I'm thinking about it, this might actually be the first time that I've seen these female flowers. And these female flowers are really small. So Catasetum flowers, the females, are typically pretty large. So I suspect that these have taken more after the Catasetum callosum, which is a smaller flower, than they have of the other parent, which is the Tenebrosum. Tenebrosum typically has pretty large flowers. And this is an interesting one. You can see that the petals and sepals are pretty dark there. Of course, they are facing down. The female flowers are non-resupinate, while the male flowers are resupinate. So female flowers look like they're upside down, and then the male flowers look like they're right side up, at least to our human eyes, right? Actually, I'm looking past this plant, and I'm seeing that right now I've got one male flower that has decided to pop up on the end of this spike, which has female flowers. So that's kind of cool. That'll be a fun comparing and contrasting of the two different flowers. In fact, here's a photo of the male flowers. The male flowers, as you can imagine, are some of my favorite. This is one of my favorite crosses of all time. I can't get enough of these. I think they're super cool. But the females are kind of cool as well. 4 females, right? And if we look in here, there's some pieces that fall out. So that might be somewhat hermaphroditic. Let's see. Is there pollen in there? Oops. Well, I dropped it. Looks like there was at least a little bit of pollen in there. So that's kind of an interesting deal. So those might actually be more hermaphroditic than just females. It does look like there's pollen in there. Interesting. You can see that this Catasetum lucis is going dormant. The white lines are not distinct anymore, and it's just light green, and then the lines are actually just the ridges of the veins rather than the actual clearly defined lines that you typically see for an actively growing plant. So that's kind of reminds me of the video that I did recently where I talked about that, but this is a really good one. And so this is a really good example of what a plant that's really starting to go dormant will look like. Is the lines are basically gone, and they all just turn kind of a light green or even a yellow on the Cycnices. But that's not why we're here. Let's pop around to the other side of this and take a look at this Fong Sing. So these Fong Sing flowers are much larger than the little itty bitty ones that we just looked at over there. Probably 3 times as large actually. And you can see that it's got really nice color. Right now, later in the day, they've got a decent scent. It's not great, but they're really attractive. And so this is the one that I got awarded. This I got this as an AM on these female flowers. In fact, it's been a while since I saw the male flower, so I might have to chop this one up this year in order to get more male flowers, which are even more attractive than this one. I'd like to get the male flowers awarded as well. It would be really cool to have a plant in my collection that has an award on both the female flowers and the male flowers. It's very unusual, as you can probably imagine. You can see we've got some looks like anther caps. This one does not have any sort of pollinia in it, and you can see that they're on all of them actually. So if I go like that, you can see it pop off. Still the female parts, so the male of course will put pollinia on the back of a bee. The bee will walk in this upside down, and typically the pollinia on the back of the bee will get stuck on the female parts here and will go into the column and then become fertilized and create a big seed pod. And this one I would imagine would be about the size of my hand, so that they'll be huge, much like the rest of the plants and the flowers. And we can see my favorite wasps. They're red paper wasps. Very not aggressive, very cool. And so this is Sanguinium by Tabulari, which is a really bizarre hybrid. I don't think I have photos of the male flowers, unfortunately. But you can see what the female flowers look like. This is probably the most boring one out of them all. Just the green hooded things, no real color. This is the one that had the caterpillar chomping on it on the inside. I squished that one right away, but it still left quite a bit of damage on the inside of that flower. And now for the denticulatums. So this is pretty nice looking. The flowers are small, as is the plant, but it's got 2 spikes, right? So this one, you can see that the pollinia here has popped away, and so this flower will fade off probably in a day. And it looks like the other ones are still on here, so they might last for a couple more days. So I'll have to get some good photos of this one. And I said it's small, so the color on this one is fairly bright. In fact, this is the one that I thought was going to be a light colored denticulatum, but it's fairly standard. And then if we look at this one, this is the one that I thought was going to be darker, and it is. It's also much larger, like maybe twice as large as the other one. So we see this one, and then we pop back to this one. So much bigger. It's very possible that this one just puts out larger flowers, but it's also possible that this one, since it's its first bloom and it's putting out 2 spikes, that the plant actually held back some energy, some reserves, and has put out more flowers instead of larger flowers. I don't know. We'll have to wait till next year to figure that out, to see if that's true. But both of them are really nice. You know, this one has the nice darker red coloration on the petals and sepals, and much larger, really round, but kind of cupped flowers. So we'll have to see if those flowers open up a little bit more. It's a cupped species, so I wouldn't anticipate that it opens way far open like a pileatum, like Fong Sing does, where it's just flat as a pancake. The flowers, the male flowers. And then of course this one has a much more golden color, especially there on the lip. A little less red, although it's still got plenty of red in there. I mean, these are both really nice. I'm actually super excited to have both of these. In fact, to do the comparison, there you go. You can really see the size difference there and the color difference. Sort of the yellow one on the left versus the more red one on the right. Both are very cupped. Both are super cool. And I'm excited to have them. Real quick, here's one of my Desmond Dreeswords putting out more buds. The Galleandra Penny Lane is almost done blooming. This flower is getting close to fading. This one is definitely faded. And then here I've got this Cattleya labiata, which has outstanding color, but is getting kind of old and is a little faded. I think the wind has beat it up. And then all the flowers, for whatever reason, really stayed together. So instead of staying nice and open, it was really closed in terms of the bud location, and all the flowers are sort of crowding each other, which is not great. So I think what I need to do next year is get a spike, or excuse me, a stake, and get this one. I don't know. Do something with the flowers. I don't remember it being this crowded last year. Regardless, I can smell the flowers and they're really intensely fragrant. So I'll give this one another year to perk up and sort of have more nicely arranged flowers. And if it doesn't happen, then I'll probably sell it or trade it or give it to a friend. But anyway, hope you all are having a great weekend. Bye.